Brands won't find black influencers valuable. This is too black for them. You whitewashed piece of shit. Why would y'all say that? There's so many like layers. Be yourself for real. You are showing your true colors. How are you doing? Welcome or welcome back. I'm getting ready right now because I'm going to the dentist today. Y'all, I have not been to the dentist. I think it has come across like it's almost gonna be 2 years now, and I know that that's really bad. I know that's really bad, but I have a genuine perpetual fear of the dentist because I do not floss as much as I need to. So the amount of pain that I'm in when I go to the dentist is unreal, but I made sure I asked my mom if my dentist can numb me because I'm not going if you're not gonna numb me because the amount of pain, like I walk out of there, my gums are on fire, I'm bleeding, I'm crying. It's not a pleasant experience. And I don't care how clean my teeth are after that, I don't care. I made sure I asked my mom if the dentist can numb me, and there's an eyelash falling on my freaking eye. He said he could numb me, so we're going to the dentist today. I don't really need to get ready to go to the dentist, but I wanted to do this little chit chat, get ready with me. I've been wanting to do this for a while, just because, you know, if you're not new to my channel, you guys know I talk way too much. And sometimes in my vlogs, a topic will come up, I talk so much about it, and it kind of like takes up the entire vlog. And I'm like, this literally could have been a whole nother video. And then I could have gone more in depth in it, and that way, if you really wanted to hear about this topic, then here's this designated video about that. And also, a lot of people have said that I should get into podcasting. So, you know, maybe sit back, relax if you want to get ready also, if you want to clean your room. I normally put stuff like this on when I'm cleaning my room or doing the laundry that I don't want to do. If you guys like this chit chat stuff, we could definitely do more of it. I definitely want to do more of it because, again, I like to talk. I like to talk and I like to hear opinions. I love a good debate. I love a good debate. I don't know why I was never on a debate team, because a girly could talk. A girly could talk and a girly could debate her opinions. I asked you guys on my Instagram what topic you want to talk about, like what's pressing, what's on your mind. And a lot of you said you wanted to hear about black influencers. Like my experience as a black influencer, the black influencer community, like everything black influencer. And a lot of you said that, and I'm vibing with that. I feel like I have a lot to say about that. We're gonna get into that. But make sure you guys follow me on Instagram if you do want to see more like chit chat stuff, because I will be asking like each time like what topic you guys want to hear. And then I'll be asking for your opinions after that, because I want it to be like a live conversation type. You know I can't get all of your opinions and stuff like that, but I do have like screenshots of some people's like questions and opinions. That way it's kind of like I have somebody to talk to, because I'm lonely and I don't have anybody to talk to, but I have y'all to talk to. So I just wanted to make sure that I had y'all to talk to. We're gonna be raw, open, and honest as always, but y'all do not bully me. I swear, please don't bully me. Like I'm literally on my knees begging. I will beg. If I say something that you don't agree with, or if I say something that you don't like, I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. But do not bully me. I feel like this is such a broad topic and there's like a lot of different points that need to be like hit. But I feel like I want to start with my specific experience from the start, going into social media from the mindset of a black influencer, as a black woman. You know what I'm saying? As a black girl, because I was 18 2 years ago. I started YouTube 2020. Like the summer of quarantine. Everybody was kind of bored. I've always wanted to be a YouTuber because all I really watch is YouTube. Like since 2016, I would say. I started quarantine making TikToks because I thought I was gonna be 𝐤𝐿𝐲 𝐬𝐬, renegading across the world. I really did. I really did. And I was telling people that I was gonna be, you know, I was gonna be the next 𝐤𝐿𝐲 𝐬𝐬. I was like, woo! And then I had a viral video on TikTok. I got bullied off of the app. And I never wanted to return. Like my experience as a black influencer really started on TikTok with my small following. But I had this video that got like over 2 million like likes or views or whatnot. I don't know. The comments that I was getting in the video, you know, half of it was pretty good. It was like I literally I was doing nothing in the video. I was just standing there like most TikTokers were doing in 2020. You know, 2020 was the era of like blowing up on TikTok just for like your appearance. Toxic, but like that was 2020. So I just did that. I was just standing there, the sun was glowing, skin was glowing. And, you know, a lot of the comments were good. Most of the comments were like objectifying my body, which was why I was also like, gotta get off this app. And then the other comments were like, you whitewashed piece of shit. You whitewashed piece of shit. The amount of comments that I got, like, bold face, like, you dumb white girl, you, oh my God, you act, like, people were, like, coming for me, as if I was a white woman in a black person's body. Like, they were coming for me, calling me a white girl, like, saying that I didn't want to be black, like, all of this stuff. And it was because I had done this pose. I did, like, the sorority girl pose where I was like, you know when you put your hand on your hip and then your hand on your knee and you kind of, like, smile? The Addison Rae pose type thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you see the sorority girl pictures and they're like, I done that shit, you know what I'm saying? And everybody came for me and they were like, oh, you want to be white so bad. You want to be white so bad. That bullied me off the app. But, like, that was my first experience, I would say, like feeling an effect of being a black influencer that's completely different and that nobody else experiences. It's kind of like this feeling that I've had my entire life where it's like I feel as a black woman that I'm not accepted in any category. I'm not accepted in whiteness, and I'm not really accepted in blackness. That's how I felt at the time. That TikTok really solidified that because, you know, the people that were commenting, you whitewashed piece of shit, were black. I was like, my sisters, my brothers and sisters, why are y'all coming for me in this way? Why are y'all coming for me in this way? I've had that whole, you Oreo, you act like a white girl, you want to be white. I've had that my entire life. Because growing up, I went to predominantly white middle school, lower school, all that stuff. I wasn't around a diverse group of people until high school. And when I got to high school, I also got that type of, it wasn't necessarily bullying to an extent where like people were like shoving me in lockers, but it was more of like, I was getting made fun of, like to my face, and people were kind of like poking fun at it in a way that I feel like their intention wasn't to hurt me, but it was like this internalized thing that I was like, I'm getting this my entire life. Like, y'all are really annoying the crap out of me. Like, my own friends would be like, oh, Maya's our white friend. Like, you know, like, people saw me as like this white girl. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I am not a white girl. I get no benefits of the white community. I am black. My skin is black. What are you talking about? My relationship with my own blackness has been a journey. Like, it's been a journey. And going back to the fact that, like, I went to a white middle school, there was a point in time, and I used to be ashamed of saying this because you know, my mother, I used to tell this to my mother. She'd be like, do not tell people that. Like, that is not okay. Do not tell people that. But then I watched this documentary by Tracy Allen Ross, I think, and it's called Hair Tales, and I think it's on Hulu. You guys should watch it. It's, like, really good. They, like, interview black celebrities and people of power, you know, about their natural hair and their journey with that. But in that, the women were talking about the fact that there was a point in time when they realized that they were black. That point for me did not come until I was 13. I grew up in white spaces, and that's not to, like, denounce or, like, to, you know, deny any credit in my family. Like, my full family is black. You know what I'm saying? We're all African-American. You know, my mother's side of the family is Guyanese. My dad's side of the family is, like, American. You know what I'm saying? So I am black, full and through. But I think, you know, going to school in those white communities and not seeing, like representation of other black people, like, within my friends, within my teachers, within, like, the literature, within the stuff that I was learning, like, I did not identify as black because, well, not that I didn't identify as black, I didn't know that I needed to, I didn't know what that meant, I didn't know what that looked like, and also I differentiated myself between other black people. Like, I had my own internalized stereotypes on my own skin color. I was like, because of what other people were telling me from a young age. Like, I've had friends or teachers or stuff like that. People call me, like, a palatable black girl. Like, imagine, like, a 6-year-old being called a good black girl. And then, like, you know, when you're young, these are the things that you take on. Like, you're easily, like, your brain is easily malleable. So, you know, people telling me as a 6-year-old, you're a good black girl. I'm like, oh, well, who are the bad black people? I don't want to be the bad black people. I want to be a good black person. You know what I'm saying? So that, like, internalized stereotypes that I had on myself made me not necessarily, like I didn't realize my blackness until I was put into diverse spaces, and then I saw myself in other people. And I saw that there was no differentiation between good black people, bad black people. Like, the hell were y'all talking about? Why would y'all say that to a 6-year-old? Why would y'all say that? That was kind of like my upbringing and my realization. Like, that's kind of my relationship with, how my relationship with race was growing up. And after that whole TikTok situation, you know, I wanted to start YouTube. I wanted to get off TikTok because I thought all the bullies were on TikTok. And I think starting my YouTube channel, I went into it with my same internalized mindsets. And those internalized mindsets were that, like, I didn't want to be boxed in. And also, I had an idea of what I wanted to be. And in my head, I couldn't be black to be that. And, like, admitting that is forking insane, bro. But, like, that is my raw and honest honesty. I do not feel that way right now. So, like, we moved past that. We moved past that. But 2 years ago, I felt like I could not be black to reach the level of success that I wanted to be. Like, I could not act black. You know what I'm saying? And I put the quotes because I would punch somebody in the face whenever they say act black. Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. Okay, so part of that is also because of my inspirations. And I feel like inspirations are so important. When I started out my channel, I wanted to be Emma Chamberlain. And I still love, Emma Chamberlain is still one of my favorite influencers. Like, I love Emma Chamberlain down. Nobody come for my little girl, Emma Chamberlain. Do not do it. I wanted to be Emma Chamberlain, and then also, to add on top of it, like, the influencers that I was watching at the time, like, the mega YouTubers, like, Alicia Marie was still on top, like, who else was I watching? My major inspirations were these white influencers. And especially Emma Chamberlain was my major inspiration because of the way that Emma Chamberlain transitioned from being like an influencer to like a socialite celebrity. I was like, Emma Chamberlain reached this level of celebrity status that like nobody else reaches. And to reach that status, I have to be just like Emma Chamberlain. Like, I have to be just like her to reach this level of like exceeding success. Okay, somebody commented, black influencers can only reach a certain stage of fame, unlike white influencers and YouTubers. And I felt that. Like, I was seeing that. I was like, the most successful YouTubers and influencers in this space, they're white and they act this certain way, they carry themselves this certain way, and I didn't have enough like black famous influencers to look at as inspiration. I feel like that turned me away, not necessarily being myself, because I still think, you know, at the beginning I was being myself, but it turned me away from aspects of black culture that I didn't want to like associate with because white influencers didn't associate with that. Like, examples of that would be like the natural hair community or the wig community. I remember I would not want to do a video at all talking about how I wash my hair, my natural hair routine, like stuff like that. And I think it was like internalized because, you know, the white girls, they just show their little shampoo, they show their little conditioner. They don't talk about deep conditioning. They don't do any of that. So I was like, oh, I can't talk about that because that's not what people that are successful don't talk about that, you know? And that was kind of like my little internalized thoughts. I feel like that also came with another point that I had to say was like this feeling of being boxed in. I feel like as black influencers, when you come on the internet, I felt like I had to choose. I felt like I had to choose a box and stick with it, because if I merge boxes, then people are gonna be confused. Not that part of that is true, but you do have to pick a niche, right? When you join like the internet, when you become a YouTuber, a TikToker, an Instagram, you have to know who you want your audience to be. You have to know who you want your viewers to be. Whether that's, you know, that could be old people, young people, that could be kids, that could be women, that could be men, that could be people in finance, that could be, you know, teachers. You have to know your audience so you know who you're relating to, so you know who you're speaking to. Like, you know, you can't just speak to everybody. You have to know who you're talking to, you know? So, to be 100% honest, I went into it and I had no thought in my mind that my audience was gonna be young black girls. Like, that went over my head. I was like, I'm just trying to be 𝐤𝐬, do not put me in a box that's not equivalent to 𝐤𝐬. Like, do not put me in that box. So because of that, I'm like, I'm not making a wig video, I'm not making a hair video, I'm not making a makeup routine. 𝐤𝐬 never did that, so I'm not doing it. And that's what I was running with. The difference between being a black influencer and a white influencer is that black influencers often feel like they have to choose what box they want to be put in. I feel like once you start doing those wig videos, people automatically assume that you're a wig influencer. Then they put you in this like one little category. Or once you start doing makeup videos, you know, you're a makeup influencer, which, you know, white creators do that same thing where, you know, they'll decide, you know, oh, I just want to be a makeup channel, or oh, I just want to do this. But I feel like they're not boxed in to the point where it's like, oh, you're a wig influencer, this is who you are as a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like when we think of wig influencers, we have a certain idea of what that type of person is. We have a certain idea of what type of lifestyle this person lives. When you think of your white counterparts and you're like, oh, you're a makeup influencer, there's no like connotation to like how your personality is, what your upbringing is. Like, you know, there's no connotation. I feel like I really wanted to actively avoid boxes and I wanted to actively avoid labels. So I actively avoided my own culture. So I think my mindset, you know, joining the internet was like success, whiteness, and I like paralleled them. And I think that's because like society does that. Like, I was listening to Jay-Z's song The Story of OJ for my class, actually. You know, he had the line that OJ says where OJ's like, oh, I'm not black, I'm OJ. That comes from like this idea that success is measured in whiteness. When some black people reach a certain level of success, they distance themselves from the idea of blackness because blackness makes them more unsuccessful, because we're still measuring success in the term of whiteness. Like O.J. Simpson, like there was like, I don't know exactly where it came from, but basically O.J. Simpson was saying that this woman, was like, basically this woman, it was O.J. Simpson and a group of other black people, and this woman had pointed out, she was like, oh, like, here are these black people, and then there's O.J., and then that she had said to O.J. like, oh yeah, you're not black, you're not like that. It's this separation between success and blackness that I feel like gets internalized, and that goes into like starting, like that idea, if not addressed, can go into this whole toxic mentality of starting your career on the internet. Because like for me, I had this internalized and I didn't even realize it. And I feel like, you know, that goes into a lot. That could go into like the music space, the sports space. Like, people then put you in a category of like, oh, you act more white. Like, from our own community, do I have a specific celebrity example? I don't think I do, but like maybe like Beyonce or like Jay-Z. Black people that have reached billionaire status, I feel like as a community, a lot of the times we're like, well, you're not black anymore. Like, you don't relate to our struggle anymore. You don't relate to what we go through anymore. And that is the most internalized toxic shit that we need to push out the door. Like, we need to stop equating black culture with struggle. Black culture is success. Black culture is success. And like the fact that we like differentiate that we're like, black culture is this struggle and white culture is this like easy, successful lifestyle. That is so bad. That is so bad, because we keep projecting that on ourselves, and it just creates a cycle and a cycle and a cycle. Because we should look at people like Jay-Z, Beyonce, like these black people that have reached billionaire status, and we're like, oh yeah, this is black culture. This is black culture. This is what we are. This is what we do. Not like differentiate and be like, you're not for the people no more. What do you mean? This is our inspiration for the people. Like, this is us. This is us. They're still black. They are still black. All right, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? That was so important for me becoming like a black influencer, is not seeing black as successful and how toxic that was. It's not like I wasn't being myself, but I was withholding aspects of myself to equate myself to whiteness, because I felt like that was what was gonna get me at the peak level of success. So I feel like moving on to like now, because I've moved out of that. I've moved out of that, praise the Lord. But I feel like, you know, it's actually only been very recent. It's been very recent. Like, I would say, you know, it's been a few months since I've moved out of that toxic mindset, like, fully. Actually, here's a great example. Here's a great freaking example. And this shit, bro, when I tell y'all, I'm really just speaking what was like on my brain, and I'm being like so open and honest. And please do not bully me, because, you know, I'm aware of like, you know, what I did. So if you guys didn't know, like when I went to college, I went to a HBCU. I went to Howard University, and, you know, I started out online and because of quarantine, and then we moved to in-person. And when we moved to in-person, I lived off campus, all this stuff, la la. But by this time, I was already, I think I was around like 80K. I had pretty good engagement. Like, I had built a community. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I rocked with you guys. And I really saw this as like, oh, I want this to be my future. I want YouTube to be my future career. All this stuff. So I'm going to this HBCU. And, you know, I would watch all the college vloggers. And by all the college vloggers, I mean, you know, the USC, the white college vloggers. I watched the white college vloggers, and they would take the vlog to the cafeteria. They would take the vlog to you know, to the frat parties. And I was like, ooh, this looks so cool. Like, I can't wait to do this. And I, like, looking back on my vlogs at Howard, you wouldn't even be able to tell that I even went to, you wouldn't even be able to tell that I went to a HBCU. You wouldn't even be able to tell that I went to a school, I feel like. I did not vlog the parties. I did not vlog the aspects of HBCUs that make HBCUs what they are. Like, I don't think I ever vlogged, like, step shows or, like, strolling, or I think I would vlog the band sometimes. And I definitely did not vlog myself going to the parties, you know, when bro, the way that I was such a facade, and I don't want y'all to think that I'm a fake individual, but I would be like getting ready, you know, going out. I'd be like, you know, la la la, you know, just talking about, you know, going out. And then camera would turn off. I'd be like, all right, guys, I'm going to a party. Going to the party, belting Dreams and Nightmares, word for freaking word. Word for freaking word. And not filming a goddamn thing. Because I'm like, oh, they're going to leave. They're gonna be like, who is this person? So I was so afraid of like showing aspects of like, oh, this is my black school, because I felt like it was gonna, you know what? I felt like I was gonna alienate white audiences. I was like, you know, they cannot see me turn up to Dreams and Nightmares. They cannot see me swag surf. They cannot get me real ass bitch, give a fuck about it. They can't see it. They can't see it. And it was kind of like a facade, and I did feel like it was partly also. And another person mentioned this. Next time I'll make I should come with pointers. But somebody mentioned this, and it was like, brands won't find black influencers valuable. And also this idea that like blackness isn't brand safe. So like at this time, I was getting more brand deals, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, stuff like that. And I was like, ooh, the brands are going to be watching my videos. Like, I don't want them to see me as this girl that knows Dreams and Nightmares word for word. I don't want them to see me as that. And that's because I felt like brands wouldn't want to work with me if I was a certain way. Like, if I acted a certain way, if I was perceived. No. Let me be so fucking for real right now. Let me be so for real. I thought that if the brands thought I was ghetto, they wouldn't want to work with me. And that is the God-honest truth. That is the God-honest truth. But do you understand how internalized that is? Like, that is so toxic. That's such a toxic mindset. But, like, I realize that now. There's so many, like, layers that comes with being a black influencer. There's so many layers of, like, that you just, like, project onto yourself. So I'm sitting here living my life behind the scenes at my HBCU, turning up, you know what I'm saying? Turning up. And y'all saw none of the turn up, because I was like, this isn't brand safe. This is too black for them. This is too black for the brands. Be so for real. And I'm saying that to myself, like, Maya, be so for real. If like I could go back in time, I could be like, girl, what are you doing? Be so for real right now. Like, that mentality was just so crazy, but it's a mentality that I had, and it's a mentality that I had since like the beginning. So moving on to like how I shifted that, and like the shift from that, I think that comes from seeing yourself in your influences. I think that is so important, and I did not realize why that was so important. So there was actually a vlog. It was like a couple months ago. I think it was September, guys. Honestly, I think it was September. And I had told you guys that I really wanted to switch up my subscription feed because I was subscribed to majority white people and I barely had any black people on my subscription feed, and I was starting to feel like not good about that. You know what I'm saying? So I actively, you know, chose to really like seek out black influencers and like switch my algorithm, switch my feed to really only being like people of color. Like after I did that, I really kind of like saw a shift. How I felt like I was able to like express myself on the internet. My inspirations changed. Not to say like if you're black, you can only have black influences, but it's very important, I feel like, to have black influences. Because yes, Emma Chamberlain is still one of my main inspirations, but now I also have 𝐤𝐬𝐢𝐳. I have Aaliyah's Face. If you watch her, she's a vlogger, like love her videos. She's so successful, and you know, it's being able to be inspired by people, but also knowing that they're a black woman. They experience what I experience. They go through what I go through, and they're able to show up as their full self, share their full culture, and still be successful. It's seeing that that is so important, and that's what I needed. Like, I needed that shit. And that shit really, like, transitioned me. Like, it really transitioned me. I feel like into, like, a new era of myself. A new era of, like, kind of acceptance and stuff like that. I also, you know, want to go into the film industry. And I was having this conversation with my mom. And I was like, I think if I wasn't in the generation I'm in, I wouldn't want to go into the film industry. Because, you know, we're really starting to see black women especially, but just black people in general really take over, like, the film industry, like the entertainment industry. And before, 10 years ago, I would not have a list of people that I could be like, oh, I want to be them. In their full self, in their full rawness, I want to be them. Like, you know, I probably would have only had, you know, Julie Plec. If you don't know Julie Plec, she's kind of like the writer, producer of The Vampire Diaries, but she's a white woman. And then I still, you know, would have felt like this kind of like disconnect, because I'm like, okay, yeah, like, I'm inspired by what you do. I'm inspired by what you created. But, like, I don't know. Like, I just don't see myself in it. But now I have Issa Rae. I have Shonda Rhimes. I have Viola Davis. I have Kerry Washington. I have Marsai Martin. Marsai Martin? Bro, like, the fact that I have a girl that's younger than me, that's literally on top. She's brown skinned. She's black. And she just exists in her fullness. Like, she just exists. Like, that is so important. And, like, now I could list off all of these black women that I want to be in my future. And it goes back to the fact that, like, oh, blackness wasn't seen as success. Now, I correlate and I'm like, blackness is success. This is our culture. Like, we are successful people. And I see some of my successful people and I'm like, oh, I could do this. They did it. I could be just like them. I don't feel like I have to compromise aspects of my culture to do so. I used to not understand people being like, oh, they want to change their entire algorithm to like really only see black people, but like, I get it. It just makes you feel so full, and it really makes you feel more motivated and like more inspired to see your own people succeeding and to see your own people leading. I've been talking for so goddamn long that my camera literally just died, but we're gonna continue. I had put the, you know, question up, like, give me your thoughts on, like, black influencers and stuff like that. And a lot of people were saying, you know, they don't get as much recognition. They never reach the same level of success. And yes, I do agree, but I think we're seeing a shift. That's I think the point where, like, I disagree. I feel like we're not stuck in that anymore. And I definitely feel like we're seeing a shift. And I say that because now we can list off the people. And I could think of more black people that are successful than I can think of more white people that are successful, like, in this influencer space. And I feel like recognizing that is so important. Like, I literally was, like, writing down a list. I'm like, I don't know if you guys know, like, 𝐼ShowSpeed, 17-year-old black boy, literally one of the top streamers. 𝐭, 19-year-old black boy, one of the top streamers. Like, we are at the top of, like, so many spaces right now. Like, I look at, you know, 𝐤𝐬𝐢𝐳, and I see 𝐤𝐬𝐢𝐳 as one of the most successful YouTubers in my opinion, just because of the fact that her engagement is, like, sickening. Like, her engagement is insane. And I think that Black creators have the best engagement. I think we have the best engagement. And I think we may not get the most views, but we get the most comments. We get the most chatter. Because one thing we gonna do, we gonna talk. We gonna talk to each other. You know, stuff like that is really, really important for a creator. So like, I look at 𝐤𝐬𝐢, just the fact that 𝐤𝐬𝐢 grew to over 1 million subscribers in less than a year. And I know, yeah, like that's transferring up her followers from like 𝐷iara and Ken and stuff like that. But like, in less than a year, she grew to 1 million subscribers on her own. That's still freaking insane. You look at her comment space and there's like thousands of comments. You look at her views and her views are, you know, they're consistent, they're high. There's like a high level of engagement. Us, like, especially in the lifestyle space, I feel like we get the engagement. And I feel that because I feel like when we want to show up for each other, we show up for each other. And I also feel like it's because we feel like there are so little of us that we really latch on when we find like our fave Black creator. We latch on, we comment on every video, we're there, we show up. Like, we really show up for each other. And that type of stuff is so important because engagement is what brands look at, or it's what they should look at. See, now, but like, that's where we have our little issue. If a brand is paying a white creator more, and it's in the facts that we literally have the most engagement. If you're paying a white creator that gets 100 comments versus a Black creator that literally has like 1.5 thousand comments on their video and like more consistent viewership and stuff like that, then it's like, what do you, then you're showing your true colors. You are showing your true colors. But we'll get into like the pay disparities and stuff like that because, you know, I think now we're seeing that Black creators are rising to the top in different genres. I look at 𝐿𝐴. I've never seen a Black creator rise to like like, I don't know what genre she does, like the comedy. If y'all know 𝐿𝐴, you know 𝐿𝐴. Like, she does the comedy reaction type videos, and she's skyrocketed, and she's like I feel like she's literally like at the top of that category. Like, she like eats it up. Like 1 million plus views each video. I'm going in circles. But back to 𝐷iara, another thing that's like insane that I feel like only happens with us, and also, 2 points about this. Okay, so, you know, this is back to like our engagement. I remember, like, I think it was a month ago, 𝐷iara posted her Amazon storefront link. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't know what an Amazon storefront is, it's basically where creators like myself, I always have it linked in the bio, link in bio, we make a commission off of the products that you buy off of our Amazon storefront link. If you click on my Amazon storefront link and I posted this brush, you know what I'm saying, and you bought that brush, I get a commission off of that. So 𝐷iara posted her Amazon storefront link, and she posted how many clicks she got in a day. In a day, she got over 100,000 clicks. Amazon should be writing her a check, just a personal check. Just a personal check to say thanks. Jeff Bezos himself should be coming down to shake her hand. To shake her hand. How are you, like, the amount of power that you have, like, as, like, a single individual, you are able to drive over 100,000 people to one website in one day? In one day? Like, I think that shit was literally trending on Twitter. Like, the amount of power. And I feel like it's also because we showed up. I was watching, I think it was like Aaliyah's face vlog. They went to like an event for like Magic Links. And the Magic Links creator, or not creator, like the Magic Links representative was saying that the top sellers on Magic Links are Black women. We are the top sellers. And if you don't want Magic Links, it's basically the same thing as Amazon storefront. Like, if I linked this brush down below and it had like a .magic link, basically if you go and you click it and you buy from that, I get a commission. And like Magic Links can see, you know, they purchase. The top sellers on this commission platform are Black women. What does that tell you? Like, that, like, we really show up, and we really have like the numbers, we have the engagement. I guess that can kind of lead into like the conversation. A lot of people were talking about the fact that Black creators aren't paid as much. Black creators don't get the same opportunities. Black creators aren't seen or valued as much. And I agree, but also I disagree. kind of. Like, kind of, because take that situation for example. And I watched this vlog and like, you know, it was like a table. They basically had like this event and it was like an event for creators. It looked like a restaurant type, you know, I wasn't there. So I didn't get the invite. So I don't really know. But it looked like a little, like, you know, restaurant event. And, you know, around this table was just a bunch of black women. Bunch of black creators in the lifestyle space that were, you know, kind of like successful on top. And the fact that they were recognizing that us as black women are really just driving their revenue, that's big. And so I feel like, you know, that's an example of a company that really values us as black women or values what we do and isn't necessarily like taking advantage. You know, I think there's definitely like instances where companies, not instances, there's a lot, like it's the norm where companies will, you know, pay a white creator more even though the black creator has more engagement, or even though the black creator has more followers. Here's where it's like hard for me to like really like get into talking about this. It's because I don't feel like I've felt this disparity as much. Maybe I have. Maybe it's because I haven't had many conversations with many white influencers to really like know. But when I first started my channel, I wasn't doing that many sponsorships, and I only started really doing sponsorships when I got representation or management. And I think when you do have representation and management, it makes it a lot easier to not get bulldozed over or to not get, to not get taken advantage of, because brands do take you more seriously when you have an agency talking on your behalf. And it's kind of like brands will be less inclined to show their blatant racism to your agency than they would to like your face as the black creator, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it's hard for me to really talk about the disparities in pay because I don't necessarily know from my own experience, but I've heard other experiences. Brands do have aesthetics, right? Like brands have certain aesthetics. Like if you look on like their Instagram or something like that, like let's take Jaded London versus like American Eagle, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you see those brands and then those are two different aesthetics. Like you see them and you think of two completely different things. Certain brands will strive for diversity when they don't want it. And then that's, I feel like, when we see the paid disparities. Like when brands don't want a black creator in their aesthetic or in their marketing, we could tell. Like we can tell when you just put somebody in, when you just put a person of color, when you put a plus size person in there just to fit the quota, but when you really didn't want them there. And I think that's when we see the pay disparities. And I think like that's when we should just be saying no. Like we know the types of brands that don't really want us and won't show up for us. No, I need to give like a personal example. The past New York Fashion Week came and I didn't go to I didn't get a single invite. I didn't get a single New York Fashion Week invite or anything like that. And, you know, I was really thinking about it. I wasn't as sad or I didn't feel like I was being overlooked in a sense. Granted, people that were going to some of these New York Fashion Week shows have the same amount of engagement, have the same amount of viewership as I do. But I'm like, if I'm not wanted in a space in the first place, I don't want to be there. I don't want to go to this fashion show with a bunch of white people that don't relate to me, that don't really care that I'm there, just to be there for them to take a picture of me and say that they had a black girl sitting front row at their show. I don't want to do that. That's uncomfortable for me. So I think I wasn't like upset that I didn't go to any New York Fashion Week stuff, except for like one brand that I was like, oh, this is like an inclusive brand. Like I rock with them, you know what I'm saying? Like, but like the white runways, I didn't care. Like, I'm like, I don't care to be in these white spaces where I'm gonna be made uncomfortable anyways. I live in New York, right? And what I've noticed about New York influencers is that they're white. They're like the NYU FIT girlies that like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? So that's majority of like the influencer space in New York, I feel like. And I've been to multiple influencer events where like, I'm either the only black person there or it's like one of a few. It's actually a very draining experience. I don't really care to be invited to these brand events if I'm like, I feel like there's not gonna be that many of my people there. And I'm like, the point of brand events is to connect with the brand and is to connect with other influencers. But like, if I don't really nobody here wants to connect with me, so like, where am I going? Like literally before I go to every single event in New York City. And I mentioned New York City because I feel like if I did live in a place like Atlanta where the creator scene is very heavily Black, I wouldn't, you know, like have the same feeling. But I feel like because I live in New York and, you know, because of the cost of living in New York, because of the culture of New York, it's like just very white people heavy. I'm like always like praying. I'm like, you know, hopefully I find a fellow Black creator there that like I could vibe with and that I could relate to. Okay, here's an example. I went to this event one time. It was a lot of white folk there. And, you know, I'm trying to mingle, I'm trying to like chat, but like I was already getting drained because at the end of the day, I'm code switching the entire night. Like, I'm code switching the entire night. And having an entire night of code switching is not fun. It's not fun. It's draining. I was feeling drained, being like, hi, like, oh, like, I'm just like drained. Like, I get literally, it's like a switch that I just turn on. I just switch the way my tone inflection. I switch I might not be like, be fucking for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I switch the things that I say just so that I don't have, I think it's partly to like protect both parties. It's like so that I don't have an awkward situation where they're like, oh, what is that? Or like, so it's like I don't know. You get it. Like, I'm code switching the entire night. And then as soon as I find a Black creator, and it doesn't even matter how big they are, it doesn't even matter the platform. I'm just, hello, my sister. Hello. Hi. And I'm just like, and then I relax. But it took me like half the night to find that one person that I felt like I could be fully myself with and that I could fully relax and really get into like, oh, like, what do you create? And like where I could just be me and not be like code switching at the same time while talking to a stranger. Like, it's just like, it's an added layer. All that is to say, there is a major pay disparity, but I feel like we need to stop showing up for brands that don't show up for us.
And also stop fighting to be added to opportunities that we already weren't wanted in the first place. Stop fighting for the brand trips that you know is just gonna be like 5 white women and they're gonna throw you in there just for the picture. But you know that these other creators and the brand didn't want you there. Like, don't go. Don't fight for that. Don't even like talk about that on social media. Like, ghost that brand. That brand is not for the people. That brand is not for us. And we're not hurt by them not giving us an opportunity because they suck and they're racist. So like, you know, like, don't fight for a sucky racist brand.
When I get approached or like when my management tells me about a brand or something like that, and I look on your Instagram and I have to scroll and keep scrolling to see a person of color, goodbye. It's not that hard to want to post Black people. It's really not that hard. So if you have any excuse to like not have Black people included in your aesthetic, you don't really care. You don't really care. And then that's when I feel like, oh, you're probably not paying me as much as you're paying, you know, another white counterpart, because you really don't care. You're just using me as your token. You're using me to fill your quota. You're using me to fill your diversity. And I don't want to be here for that because there's other brands that actually care about me for me. Oh, that was another thing, bro. I used to never want to wear a bonnet in my video. I used to, you know, when I would do like, you know, when people like do morning routines and stuff like that and they like get out of bed, I would take off my bonnet and my headscarf before I film my morning routine. Be so for real. My head is wrapped in 3 hair ties and a bonnet, and I'm taking off my bonnet to do a morning routine because I feel like it's not fitting the aesthetic. Shut up. What are you doing? Like, that's not, like, you're literally, like, subtracting an aspect of yourself that is, like, real and authentic just because you feel like it's not going to fit an aesthetic. Whose aesthetic?
This is my last comment. A lot of you guys were like asking if as a Black content creator, I feel like I have to pick a certain aesthetic or if I feel like I have to fit into the Black girl luxury aesthetic to be successful. Absolutely not. The clearest point of that is that not every Black woman is a Black girl in luxury vibe, you know? Not every Black girl is like always on her P's and Q's, always has her hair done, nails done. That's not every Black girl, and at the end of the day, people want to watch people that they relate to. Knowing that made me feel okay in just showing up as whatever aesthetic I was at the time. Like, starting my channel was like very vocal about Vampire Diaries and fan fiction. I even made a video about reading fan fiction, and it did pretty well because people were like, oh, I love that you're a Black girl, but you also talk about like Wattpad stories and like shit like that, which is like stuff that I'm into as a black girl, but I don't see many black creators doing that. I think we crave people to just show up as themselves because all have these different aesthetics. We know that we're not just one type of person. We all know that as black people, as black women, as black men, we're not one culture, we're not one way, we're not one aesthetic. There's always gonna be people out there that can relate to you because there's so many freaking people in this world. There'll be an even stronger connection because you're a black woman and because you're like this rare find, in a sense, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you're a black woman into fishing and you talk a lot about fishing, and then another young black girl that was into fishing and all she's able to watch is white creators talking about fishing comes across you. She is going to be like, praise the Lord, I love you, I'm going to be such a loyal fan. You represent something that I relate to, but also you look like me. So it's like an added bonus. Don't feel pressured to fit into one aesthetic because people want to be able to see themselves in, you know, their creators.
Where is my lip liner? I cannot live without my lip liner. I cannot live without my... Where's my lip liner, y'all? I've been really milking this hairstyle and my head is starting to look very like egg, weird shaped. But I'm gonna put my claw clip in and hope that that makes it look better. I don't know. Not the best hair day. But yeah, I think that that's all I have to say on this topic. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm probably maybe leaving some stuff out. I don't know. I want you guys to comment your hearts away down in the comment section about anything. Like, let's further this conversation. If you guys really like resonate and specifically on this topic, maybe I could like find some black creator friends that like want to like weigh in on the conversation and like have like a really like live type conversation about it. I would have to make a lot more black creator friends though, because again, it's hard out here in New York City. It's very hard. If you guys enjoy this chat, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and like really let me know if you like these types of videos. If you want to see more chit chat get ready with me's about different topics and stuff like that, let me know so that I'm not running in the dark and so that I could do more of them. Talk to y'all later. I have to go to the dentist. Bye bye.